beautiful day today. Wine expert Bill Mahoney returns from Premier Wine and Spirits with the finer points of Chardonnay. That's a great name, Chardonnay.
It rolls right off the tongue.
It does. I'll have a Chardonnay. It's a white wine, right?
It is, yes. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Chardonnay actually has its origins in Burgundy. When I mention the word Burgundy, automatically people have a tendency to think of red.
Yeah.
They think of those big jugs and everything like that. But actually, Burgundy is an appellation within France, and they grow two main grapes there, the white being Chardonnay and the red being Pinot Noir. And so we have a lot of different Chardonnays that we're featuring right now in our catalog. Our catalog is still going on strong, right there through July 13th. So we have the 4th of July coming up. Certainly encourage people to come on in and stock up for their summer barbecues and whatnot. But one of the things that's interesting is I'm fortunate enough in my profession that I have the ability to do in-home wine tastings.
Yes, you do.
And sometimes when all the stars are in perfect alignment, I even get to do a wine tasting for bachelorette parties.
No kidding.
Yes, yes.
He's blushing on television.
Well, maybe that's because I had such a great time this last weekend.
Oh, tell us more.
We did. Well, I can't say too much because I am a professional. But in any case, though,
you served wine at a bachelorette party.
I did. I did.
By yourself?
By myself.
Okay. Were you fully clothed?
I was fully clothed.
Well, you know, sometimes those parties get crazy.
They do. And I always say, you know, the tie will only loosen. If the tie comes off, that costs more.
Okay.
So, but
all right. Well, this sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
So does this mean you're for hire at bachelorette parties?
I have a corkscrew and I will travel.
Okay, everybody. You heard it first on our show. Okay, let's get back to wine.
back to the serious business though. But the topic of the wine tasting that we did this last weekend was all about you know, crisp whites. It's warm weather right now, and everybody is interested in drinking those refreshing wines and
sounds
things.
Sounds like a starch shirt, a crisp white.
Yes, very. You know, and when you talk about crisp wines, you're talking about the acidity and what kind of makes your palate refreshed and cleansed.
Okay.
And one of the things we've been noticing in terms of trend in Chardonnay particularly is that there's a growing trend to get away from the Chardonnays that are heavily oaked. Usually when you think of California Chardonnay, you think of butterscotch and vanilla and these very rich styles of Chardonnay, and that's very stereotypical of California. But Chardonnay is produced all around the world, in Burgundy particularly, where they use minimal oak, and then also in other parts of the world like Australia, where you're starting to see a lot of Australian Chardonnays right on the label say unoaked Chardonnay.
Does that mean it's not stored as long as well?
Well, it can be aged an equal amount of time, but it might be aged in stainless steel.
Oh, okay.
It might be aged in an older wooden barrel that doesn't impart as much of the oak flavor.
Okay.
Brand new barrels are the ones that will really leach in a lot of that oaky, buttery, toasty flavor in a Chardonnay. And a great example we can do right today, and you'll be able to see, even if you're a novice, you'd be able to see the differences between style. On the wine on your left here, we have an unoaked Chardonnay from Australia called Wishing Tree, and if you just swirl this and smell it, it will smell kind of bright and light and crisp, kind of, you know, light on its feet.
Yes.
You take a sip of this and you'll get kind of that mouth-watering sensation. It'll be kind of crisp and sharp. And that's a style of Chardonnay that's we see more people gravitating towards. You get a chance to be able to appreciate the nuance of the grape as opposed to tasting all the wood.
It does make your mouth water.
Right, right.
It's lovely.
And then when you try the wine on your right here, this is a Chardonnay from the Russian River Valley of Sonoma. This is a stereotypical, I call these like Chateau 2x4 or Chateau Lumberjack. They're very big and woody and creamy and buttery. And you can just smell this. Smell how much more ripe it is, and there's like a roundness to it. You take a sip of that, and there's going to be much more of a creamy texture. It's going to have that nice butteriness to it.
Yes, it's very different.
Yeah, totally different. Same grape variety and everything.
It's just a matter of what you like.
Exactly. And also the food you might be pairing this with. So, you know, this would hold up to, say, like a nice lobster dinner, drenched in butter. Perfect type of Chardonnay for that. Something that's a little bit more crisp, you know, you could even get away with maybe seafood with a very crisp white like that. White Burgundies from France, like a particular area called Chablis, which is another thing that people have a tendency to confuse with the jug wines. And actually, we've borrowed a lot of the words from Europe in the production of our wines back in the 50s, but Chablis is a wine that's just great with oysters. And so you can do a lot of shellfish and seafood with Chardonnay as well.
Okay, if you have a question for Bill, great time, 644-9840. Then let me ask you this. How long can a winemaker use a barrel, an oak barrel? How many years is that barrel viable to impart oak flavor?
It really just depends on the vitification that the winemaker wants to employ. It can be from anywhere from 1 year to 90 years.
Really?
The newer the barrel, the more oak you're going to impart in a red or a white. And then if it's an older barrel or a larger, they call them fjords, they really don't impart anything. In Riesling, they still use these giant, I don't know how many liters they would be in these barrels, but they're like 3 feet taller than I am, big around and everything,
yeah.
and none of that oak flavor imparts into the wine anymore, because as we know, Rieslings are very crisp and high in acid, and they don't have really any oak influence at all. So it really just depends on how often. But your average barrique would probably be maybe like 3 to 4 years is what the average lifespan would be. And then a lot of times they'll get sold off to flower pots, or sometimes they end up as barrels for aging beer. Now there's barrel-aged beer these days and things.
So you can actually move it into beer.
Oh, sure.
It's the same barrel.
Yeah, in craft beers are starting to really utilize oak aging now. And you're seeing that in a lot of your microbrews and things, like even Flying Bison is experimenting with that here locally.
I would think that the wine, though, would permeate the wood.
It does, so
yeah.
you get a little bit of that character. And you see this a lot of times also with barrels and spirits. So barrels, say, like for aging port or for sherry, you see that aged in Scotch is aged in those used barrels. So say like Macallan Scotch is a very famous Scotch producer. They age in old sherry wood, and it gives it just a hint of sweetness from the sherry that's leached into the wood.
Interesting. So it's a reusable type of, you know, it's a green crop.
Absolutely.
It's a green kind of industry.
And then eventually those barrels, they'll get chipped down, and you can use them as barbecuing chips
they
too.
Recycle, reuse. Ah, we're learning so much. We have someone on the phone with another question for Bill. Maybe you can stump the expert. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, this is Liz.
Hi, Lynn.
I'm from Niagara Falls, and I have a question. I want to know if you can tell me what's the best red wine for a person's heart.
Okay, sure. Well, when we get this question, the first caveat we always have to make is that you should always consult your physician before you decide to take on any type of wine regimen. But that being said, any red wine is going to be beneficial to you as long as you use it as a consistent regimen in your health. You know, 2 to 3 glasses a day is really going to help quite a bit. The element in red wine that you're really looking for is resveratrol. That's an element that helps fight coronary disease, helps to lower your cholesterol, and really any red wine will have the dosage that you'll need. You don't have to go out and buy supplements or anything, but you just want to be consistent. You want to make sure you drink a couple of glasses a day, every day, as opposed to drinking, you know, half a bottle on the weekend and that's it. But yeah, any red wine, and find a red wine that you like, because you know, you're going to be going through quite a bit.
There you go. So it's whatever you like. As long as it's red, it'll help.
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go. Oh, Bill, this is so interesting. Remember, everybody, we talked a little bit about Chardonnay today, but the catalog is still good through July 13th?
July 13th. Yep.
Okay, there you go.
I'll be back next week to help us pick out wines for the 4th of July.
Oh, fabulous. All right, everybody. If you have a question for Bill, of course, you can find him at the Premier Group, Premier Wine and Spirits. The 7980 Transit Road, Williamsville location's number is 565-3020. And of course, you can always email Bill at bill@premiergroup.net. And the preceding segment was brought to you by Premier Wine and Spirits.
The preceding segment was sponsored, and portions of the AM and PM Buffalo program are sponsored. The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of WKBW-TV or the